Morning, all. All right, so today we are going to talk about Ron Hextall, the goaltender, Ron Hextall, the player. We're not talking about the general manager today. We're talking about him as a player. Controversial, a very good puck handling goaltender, and it kind of got overshadowed at times by other things he'd do with his stick, like trying to decapitate people, or cut them off at the knees. But Ron Hextall, a guy who did go through his share of suspensions, we'll talk about the two more famous, but there were a bunch. He comes into the league in 1986 after being drafted 119th overall in 1982. So, 86-87, plays 66 games. That's first overall in the NHL. So that's how you make your debut if you're a rookie goaltender. He had 37 wins. That was also first in the National Hockey League. 21 losses, which is eighth in the league, to go with 6 ties. A 902 save percentage, which is first in the National Hockey League that year. Then in the playoffs, plays 26 games, gets Philadelphia within one game of knocking off the Edmonton Oilers, finishes 15-11 with a 908 save percentage. So again, in the 80s, for a goaltender to have a save percentage above 900, both in the playoffs and regular season, very, very rare. And 87 follows the 86 playoffs where Patrick Roy bursts onto the scene. So we're starting to see, like, okay, so goaltending's really, really important now in the National Hockey League. For Hextall, he finishes on the first team. He's a first-team All-Star. He wins the Vezina Trophy. So talk about setting the bar high. Of course, he was on the All-Rookie team. Wins the Conn Smythe Trophy. Rare that this happens, that somebody on the losing team wins the MVP of the playoffs. I don't think there's really any argument, though, against Hextall. Without his play, the Flyers don't get there. Second in Calder voting, which is odd, right? And ninth in Hart. So he was ninth in terms of voting for MVP around the entire National Hockey League. The one thing with that, it is almost impossible to follow that up. It is almost darn near impossible to follow that up. So 87-88, 62 games played, which is third overall in the NHL. 30 wins, which is also third. 22 losses, which is seventh. To go with 7 ties, 886 save percentage. So save percentage drops off quite a bit. In the playoffs, he goes 2-4 in 7 games and 847 save percentage. So he did appear in the All-Star game that year, mainly because of the season before and how fantastic that was. But this is not the same. It's not the same. And that's the thing. You can't recreate that magic from 87. 88-89, plays 64 games. That's second overall in the league. 30 wins, which is third. So in his first 3 seasons, he wins 97 games. 28 losses, that's second overall in the NHL, to go with 6 ties. 891 was his save percentage, which is 7th overall in the NHL, and it is an improvement from the 886 the year before. In 15 playoff games, so Philadelphia goes on a decent run that year too. He goes 8-7 with an 890 save percentage. He did finish 7th in Vezina voting. So nice bounce back after, I guess we can call it a sophomore slump in year 2. So year 3, he misses almost the entire season due to injury. What's interesting with this is also a year where there's a suspension that takes him out for 12 games as well. But we will talk about that once we get to the more suspension and talk about his play. I want to do the stats first. So he ends up playing 8 games in the 89-90 season. Has a record of 4-2-1 with an 868 save percentage. It's not a great year for him all around. 90-91, he plays 36 games, has a record of 13-16-5, 892 save percentage. Then in 91-92, plays 45 games, a record of 16-21-6, 883 save percentage. So he's not a top 10 goalie at this stage. 7th of Vezina was now 3 years removed from, and he's a full 5 years removed from the magical season of 86-87. So on June 20th of 1992, he becomes part of what is one of the biggest trades in the history of the National Hockey League. Traded with a 1993 first, Chris Simon, Steve Duchesne, Peter Forsberg, Kerry Huffman, Mike Ricci, a 1994 first, as well as $15 million in exchange for Eric Lindros. So the Philadelphia Flyers pay a steep price, and for Hextall, he moves on to the Quebec Nordiques. So he plays 54 games in 92-93 with the Nordiques, records 29 wins, which is 7th overall in the NHL, to go with 16 losses and 5 ties. 888 save percentage, so not bad. And then in the playoffs, he goes 2-4 in 6 games with a .915 save percentage. Quebec was not disappointed, but the problem Quebec had was we had an expansion draft coming up. You could only protect one goaltender, and so they didn't want to lose Hextall for nothing. They did not want to be in a position where Hextall was going to just be off to be 93, 94, so off to Florida or Anaheim. So June 20th, so 1 year exactly after he becomes a Nordique, he is traded to the New York Islanders. He's traded with a 1993 first, for a 1993 first going the other way, and Mark Fitzpatrick. So another goaltender going back to the Nordiques in response. 93-94 with the New York Islanders, he plays 65 games, which is 9th overall, and is 1 game away from his career high of 66 games. 27 wins, which is 10th overall in the league. 26 losses, which is 8th, to go to 6 ties. .898 save percentage. So the save percentage comes up. But in the playoffs, the New York Rangers aren't messing around, and they just destroy Hextall. It is carnage. The one game where Hextall's not in there, the fans are chanting, "We want Hextall," because sure. And so yeah, Hextall ends up going 0-3 in that series with an .800 save percentage. It was ugly. It was ugly. And he doesn't last in New York. He ends up going back to Philadelphia. He spends a grand total of 2 seasons away from Philly. And then when he goes back, it feels like everything's completely different. Like his reputation's not the same. The expectations aren't the same. And the sting of that playoff performance is, it's there. He is traded with a 1995 6th-round pick in exchange for Tommy Soderstrom. So Soderstrom goes to the Islanders, and Hextall goes to the Flyers for the 94-95 season. So 94-95, he plays 31 games, the lockout-shortened season, 17-9-4 record, .890 save percentage. Goes on a bit of a run in the playoffs, 15 games, 10-5 record, .904 save percentage. So Philadelphia goes all the way to the conference final that year, and so things are looking up again for Hextall. All he needed to do was go back to Philadelphia. 95-96, 53 games played, 31 wins, which is 6th overall, and it is the highest win total he's had since his rookie season. So again, that's good. To go with 13 losses and 7 ties. His .913 save percentage puts him 5th in the National Hockey League, and that's the best save percentage he recorded in his career. 12 games in the playoffs, a 6-6 record, and a .915 save percentage in the playoffs. So once you get past that New York Islanders absolute disaster, his goaltending in the playoffs is fine. He finishes 5th in Vezina voting that year. So since the Vezina win in 86-87, 95-96 is the closest he gets. 96-97, 55 games played, 31 wins again, this time at 7th overall, to go with 16 losses and 5 ties, .897 save percentage, 8 playoff games, 4-3 record, .892 save percentage. 97-98 rolls around. In 46 games, he has a record of 21-17-7, .911 save percentage. In the playoffs, he just plays 1 game, has an .875 save percentage. No decision there. 98-99 in what would be his final season in the National Hockey League. 23 games, 10-7-4 record, .888 save percentage. So his save percentage drops. And he's down now to being basically relegated to backup. And so that's where his season and career comes to an end. He ends up playing 608 games in the NHL, 296 wins. So just shy of 300 wins, 214 losses, 69 ties, .895 save percentage in 93 playoff games, 47-43 is his record, .897 save percentage. But what really overshadows his on-ice stuff and his numbers and his accomplishments, first off, we'll do the good part. He scores a goal. December 8th of 1987, he's the first goaltender to score a goal into the opposing net. Goalies had been credited with goals where they were the last player on their team to touch the puck before a team own goals it, so they get credit for the goal. He scored it into the net. And then April 11th of 1989, he did it again, this time in the playoffs. So by the end of his career, he's got a goal and 32 assists for 33 points in 608 games. That's not bad for a really defensive defenseman. It's also fantastic for a goaltender. In the playoffs, he records a goal and 4 assists for 5 points in 93 games. So, not too shabby. He also posts 569 career penalty minutes in the regular season. That is ridiculous in 608 games for a goaltender. He had almost 100 penalty minutes his first season, and he had over 100 penalty minutes his second and third season in the NHL. He was a tough one. May 22nd of 1989, he was suspended 12 games for attacking Chris Chelios with his stick. Basically, he skated out and thought about decapitating Chelios. Chelios got out of the way, but just the violence of that swing. I remember the debate being in my school the next day, science class, and we're debating Hextall, because that was all the teacher. He's like, "Did you guys see that last night?" And the debate was, should they just boot him from the league? Like, this was, again, the debate, and there were definitely people who had varying opinions on it. I didn't think he should be gone from the league, but I understood. It looked ugly. Now, the Philadelphia Flyers would say, well, Chelios was answering for what happened, Chelios had hit prop, and the Flyers were really angry about the prop incident. So as angry as the Flyers were with that prop incident, it kind of came out through Hextall. And so he was suspended for 12 games due to that. And this was 2 years after he had been suspended 8 games for a slash on Kent Nilsson. Basically, he was trying to take his knees out. And just it was a vicious slash. So these are very highly known, well publicized, everybody's eyeballs are on him kind of incidents, and that's a combined 20 games. He was suspended other times throughout his career as well. I believe there were 3 times he got suspensions of 6 games or longer. So yeah, it is a career that, if you're a Flyers fan, odds are you loved Hextall when he played. There were things I loved about his game, but man, when he crossed that line. One thing is that when a goaltender has a reputation for using his stick to try to end people, he's probably going to get the crease to himself. Guys are probably not going to net crash quite so much. Hextall was really, he was like, it was Billy Smith, but it was a supercharged Billy Smith. And guys just didn't tend to go near his crease because Hextall was legit tough. He was one of those goaltenders. There's him. I remember Sean Burke being one of those as well. I remember the Sabres being mad about something that happened with Dominic Hasek. I'm trying to remember which Canuck it was. I think it was Brad May. Anyways, and so the Sabres tried to run Burke, and Burke, nope. That was the end of that. Burke wasn't in Vancouver for long, but it was entertaining, and I think he went to Philadelphia after. So, anyways, Hextall had a very not boring career, and it is a shame he never got a Stanley Cup ring. He did have the Vezina. I don't think he ever gets into the Hall of Fame. But that being said, it was a very interesting career. And there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.